Well, we had an inch of rain last night, so that put a halt onto our haying for the moment. So I figured while it was wet, I'd come back down to the range and unravel some more cartridges. So today I brought down another one of my favorites. And this here is a Model 70 heavy barrel in 308. So it's a Winchester Model 70 heavy barrel. And that's they're, I shouldn't say rare, but just kind of unique, because that's the actual model of this rifle. It's just called the Model 70 heavy barrel. And they only made them for a couple of years in the early 90s. This one's a 92 or a 93 model. I'm not quite sure the records back then. This happened just before or just after Winchester was bought out by U.S. Repeating Arms. And their archives kind of got shook around a little bit. But so this is neither a 92 or a 93. And this one's chambered in 308. I think these ones only came chambered in 308. And it is an incredibly accurate rifle. I have several 308s, and this one's the most accurate. I have a Savage that's also really accurate, but not like this. So I'm down today. I was just playing with a different load, a target load, not a hunting load. So what I have here, these are 168 grain Nosler custom competitions with a pretty stout charge of 4064. I'm not going to give any powder weights. You can look them up yourself. But these here are, the wind's picking up. These here are a really good bullet. I've tried the 155s, 168s, and 175s, and they all shoot really well out of this rifle. This one prefers to tend to prefer the medium to heavier weight bullets. So like the 168s and the 175s is what it really likes. I'm shooting the 168 because it gives me the best combination of velocity and a flatter trajectory. So that's kind of what I settled on. But this rifle, since it's got a heavy barrel, it has a tendency, this is my first group here, it has a tendency to, this is your first shot, always a first shot flyer with this one. And then, you know, these two here were my second and third shot. They're about just over an inch apart. But then once the barrel starts warming up, like you put 2 shots, maybe 3 through it and get it warm, and then you get this. And this is 3 shots into less than half an inch. Kind of hard to tell, but she's cloverleaf there. 2 through the top hole, and then the one just underneath, which is incredible accuracy in my opinion. And like I say, these ones here, they're not, I shouldn't say they're rare, but they're just really hard to find. This one here was the only one that I've ever actually seen for sale in this model. What you will find if you Google Model 70 heavy barrels, you'll get that, I think they call it the heavy varminter with the, I think it's a 24 or a 26-inch barrel on it, and it's got a like a Hogue stock, not a Hogue, an HS Precision stock from the factory, and I think the barrel is like a matte stainless with flutes. Those are the ones you'll come across. These ones, not so much. And I think it's because they were marketed more towards law enforcement, and they only did that for a couple of years. So, like I say, they're kind of hard to find. But this one here, when I bought it, it didn't have this wood stock on it. It came with a synthetic stock, but whoever put this rifle in that synthetic stock, the barrel channel was not designed to fit the heavy barrel. So they just took it didn't even look like a router, it almost took like a sawzall to open up the barrel channel. And it just looked like hell. It shot great and it was free floated, but it just looked like hell. So I picked up this wood stock from Numrich, and but it was the same thing. The barrel channel was designed for the sporter weight barrel, not the heavyweight. So I had to do some sanding, a lot of sanding, to get the barrel to fit. And how you do that to properly reprofile a barrel channel, or at least the way I've done it, is you take a correct size deep well socket and then wrap it tightly in sandpaper and then just sand it back and forth. Just keep doing that, and you'll go through quite a bit of sandpaper, but you'll get a nice uniform, even widened barrel channel, so you can get a proper free float. But I did that, and I much prefer the wood stock. It gives a pretty cool look to it, especially with the heavy barrel. And it shoots, like I say, incredibly well. 1/2-inch groups once the barrel gets warm. And I put a Vortex scope on it. Now I'm not a huge fan of Vortex scopes. Like, I know everything's either comes from China or the Philippines, except some of their higher end stuff I think is made in the States. But you're talking, $3,000-$4,000 for some of those. But so this is a Vortex. It's a 3-9 by 40, and it has the external adjustable turrets that you can reset. You just pull the turret up and then put it back to 0, so you can always find your 0 again. And it's got the long range reticle and all that, and it's not a bad scope, I guess. Like I say, I'm not the biggest fan of Vortex. I'd like to if I could find a nice Leopold Mark IV, maybe a 4-16 or a 6-18 would fit this rifle really well. And I would like a 50 mil objective on this one. I'm pretty fond of the 50 mil objectives and the 30 millimeter tubes these days. You get a bit more elevation. But this one seems to be, it works. I've shot this rifle out to, I think, 800 yards. And I've done pretty well. I haven't taken it out to my 1,000-yard range yet, but I'd like to try that. But I wouldn't mind having a little bit more magnification for going out to 1,000. I've only ever, like I say, I've shot this rifle out to 500 and 800 yards quite frequently, but never out to 1,000. And there's a big jump between 800 and 1,000. It's only 200 yards, but that 200 yards sure counts. And I think this is a surplus. Is this a surplus, a reproduction M14 sling? I think I just had laying around. I just threw that on there, which is good enough. Works for a sling. But this is another rifle I wouldn't mind hunting with. Except trekking through the bush with a heavy barreled rifle can get kind of, it gets old pretty quick. But like I say, it balances well, even with the heavy barrel. It's points very well, especially with this wood stock on it, which is a little bit longer actually than the synthetic one that was on it. And I myself tend to prefer a heavier rifle. I know there's that old saying, you can shoot better with a heavier rifle, and a lot of people don't agree with that. I tend to agree with it. But it's a solid rifle. They really are. This one, since it was made in the 90s, it's a push feed. It doesn't have your Mauser action. It's just standard push feed with a jeweled bolt, which they work just fine. I tend to prefer in my other hunting rifles. My other Winchester Model 70s are all controlled round feed. And I do prefer that, but this one, for what I'm doing with it, a target rifle and maybe the occasional hunt with it, push feed's fine. And now I'll need to be doing some development for a hunting load. I like the Sierra bullets. That's what I shoot out of those 99 Savages. They like the Sierras. And most rifles that I shoot actually like the Sierra. So we'll try the 150 grain out of this, and I think I might have some 165 grain Sierras too, soft points, that I'll try. And it should shoot them no problem. I'm probably going to take a couple more shots here, stretch her out. You can't see it, but my 100-yard is right up there, and I have a 350-yard way down there. So I'll stretch this thing's legs out a little bit here this morning while the winds kind of calm down, and maybe ring some steel. And that's what I'll be doing this morning, since it's too wet to do anything else.